Now, in my video about A Wrinkle in Time, I decided to follow an email from my future self. Well, this apparently attracted the attention of one John Titor, who responded to me in Facebook. His post stated, "I told you that there are many different parallel timelines, and that if you change the future by listening to that email from your future self, you would just go to another timeline. Now, just don't go to that awful Pacific Rim sequel." In my review of Tomb Raider, my dog did a review of the film. I decided to give the dog one last chance and give a review of today's film. Another video game themed film, Ready Player One.
As I once said, the subject of video games, when it comes to the art form of filmmaking, is its ruination. Despite the best efforts of video game writers to provide stories that would rival some of today's best novelists, adapting them to film has been challenging. Video games and movies mix as well as water and Pennzoil. Even making movies on the subject video games has been jarring. Outside of Wreck-It Ralph, Hollywood's record with video game-related products has been preposterous at best. Today's film is about a bunch of emo brats trying to fight an evil entity, hell-bent on world domination, in a virtual world. Wait, that is the Matrix. Ready Player One is a film about a bunch of emo brats trying to fight an evil entity, hell-bent on world domination, in a virtual world. This film is based on the novel of the same name, published in 2011. The story is a ripoff of many Japanese manga, which just includes references to the 1980s. The novel contains almost every trope that has existed in Hollywood since the genesis of Hollywood. Please note, I never read the novel, since I'm a dog. Whatever information I'm getting is from the Wikipedia page and various other internet sources, which is the primary rationale on why I refuse to look at it. I guess to seem hip to the modern crowd, Steven Spielberg made the volitional decision to adapt the novel to film. As a Spielberg film goes, this film is really a middle-of-the-road film for him. It is not as good as E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Jaws. It is leagues better than his misfires, like Crystal Skull. Spielberg shows his mastery of direction here as if it were second nature to breathing. Every shot is properly framed. The actors all perform in character with no one seemingly wandering through a script. The actors seem to have a firm grasp of their roles and perform quite well. Needless to say, nothing about the production of this film detracts from it. Granted, no one is going to win an Academy Award here because video game subject. The true weakness of the film, unfortunately, is its source material. The novel was often criticized for presenting two-dimensional characters based on tropes and stereotypes, sometimes racial for the Japanese characters. Everything about the story is extremely predictable. Any mysteries can be figured out in the first 5 seconds of it being presented. Any twists can be seen coming light years away. There are plot holes that can suck Jupiter up in it, like why did no one think to drive backwards in the driving board or look for the most notorious Easter egg in the Atari 2600's existence. Stupidity is abundant in the story. The main character giving his real name, knowing someone might use it against him. The most fascinating train wreck in this film is the villain. Ben Mendelsohn's Nolan Sorrento is a ridiculous one-dimension mastermind. He is ruthless to control the video industry. His company, IOI, is a terrorist organization that got an IPO. I am not kidding about the terrorist organization either. IOI kidnaps people and enslaves them. They have their own militia of mercenaries and attack drones. The attack drones perpetrate the 9/11 style event in Columbus, Ohio. Nobody suspects the company because reasons. Sorrento is rich but doesn't bribe the police, who make a cameo in the film last 2 minutes of the film. Here is another Hollywood's complete lack of misunderstanding about how the real world works, but the book is not much better. You may correct me if I'm wrong in the comments section. the world that Ernest Cline creates, ISIS should be the most powerful company on Earth. The stupidity gets better. After the death of Oasis founder, IOI decides to give up on programming and play video games all day. I wish I could do that to achieve a chance to take control of Oasis. After 5 years of showing zero progress in their hostile takeover, their shareholders and creditors seem very forgiving and continue their unprofitable venture. Their only source of income seems to be debt collection, which makes one wonder why not give up on the video games altogether and just transform into a bank. I stated he doesn't bribe the police, which makes me wonder why no regulator has investigating IOI. Sorrento's endgame is more hilarious. He wants control of the Oasis so he can put pop-up ads in it. He seems to be putting a lot of effort in this venture. It is not like his company cannot produce its own Oasis program, since Oasis Media hasn't produced anything new in quite some time, or create its own pirate program to sneak the pop-ups into the Oasis program. Sorrento gets arrested in the end, but in reality his fate would probably be different. Sorrento would be visited at night by 3 SEAL Team 6 members and given a one-way trip to the bottom of the Indian. Steven Spielberg is often accused of changing plot elements and displaying stereotypical tropes in his films, but here it is not all his fault. The author, Ernest Clive, recycled many old storylines and assembled a narrative that is deficient of reality. Its message sounds like an old man telling younglings to go out and play. Spielberg did his best to present style over substance, but the substance is a dumpster fire.
Normally I would say something about that, but the reality is that dog was 100% on point. Ready Player One was a very average film. It is not very memorable. It's just full of references, and that's the only reason why you're probably going to watch it. The interesting part about it is they forgot about putting references from Nintendo in there. You know, the classic characters like from Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Bros., Mega Man. Even Super Techno Bowl would have been interesting to put in. And once again, I'm pretty sure they wanted to put Star Wars references in there, except for the fact that Warner Bros. Was kind of a little antsy about probably paying the rights to Disney. With that said, yeah, this film wasn't exactly that great. I mean, it's relatively a very middle-of-the-road film for Spielberg, but reality is, it's basically a C movie.